Hey everyone, it's Duncan from overlandjournals.com. Whenever I meet friends or other fellow 4x4 owners and we talk 4x4s, I always get told that I don't have enough driving lights on my 80 series. And my answer is always that it's enough for the kind of traveling and driving that I do. Now, when I travel overland or travel outback, I try not to drive during the night or when it's dark. Many years ago, when I initially got into overlanding, didn't care how dark it was, I would drive at night. To me, it was the thrill, and that was good fun until one day I had a very narrow shave. Things could have got really bad. It's purely, driving in the dark, not having good visibility, and I had a near bad accident. And thankfully nothing really happened, but that kind of shook me up. And since that day, when I travel outback or when I travel bush, I simply try to find a campsite and stop for the day 2 hours before sunset. That's kind of my rule, and that way I find myself enjoying my trips more because I set up camp, I relax, get a fire going, get some food going, put my feet up, have a good chat around the campfire, and sort of get into the night that way. So that I find myself enjoying it a lot more as well. However, there are those occasions when you have no choice but to drive a bit into the night. So again, if I do have to drive into the night, I try not to drive very late into the night. So I plan my trips such a way as well that every day I get to stop and in time, and I don't have to keep pushing myself to meet deadlines. So that's the kind of thinking I have, and with that thought and that way of traveling, I don't need a whole lot of driving lights. So that was how this whole thought process came in, how I should set up my lights. Now, the first thing I did when I got the 80 series was to improve on the stock standard factory driving lights, because over time the age and the reflection efficiency and output reduces quite considerably. And also the 80 series is close to about 15-20 years old, so the technology used as well was pretty old comparative to today. So first thing I did was change the reflectors, and I got brand new sets with modern designs, which fits into this perfectly, and I changed these. Now, I'll leave a link below where I got these from. It's from a low Australian brand called Nava, and they improved my light efficiency considerably without even having to upgrade the strength or the output of the globes in there. So that was an improvement to start with, soon after replacing the stock reflectors with Navas. So once I had improved on these factory lights, the next thing I did was I had two IPF spotlights lying around, and I quite like them, and I kept them because I like the reflectors. This one gives me spread, and this one is a pencil beam. Now, these were halogens when they were originally purchased, but that was some time back. But what was valuable to me was the reflectors. So what I did was I replaced the halogen bulbs with high intensity LED globes. So the next thing I thought about and played around with was having one of those LED light bars on the roof, because they look really cool and they really add a presence to the 4x4. Thought about it, but really didn't need it, because keeping in mind that I don't like to try and not travel at night, I didn't really need one of those. But more than that, having traveled in a few 4x4s belonging to my friends where they had LED light bars, I didn't quite like light reflection back from the bonnet. So instead of the roof-mounted LED light bar, I decided to go with a 26-inch light bar mounted on the bull bar, that one over there, and that gave me good enough spread and distance and brightness. So that, in conjunction with all the other lights that I've put, the improved driving factory lights and the spotlights with the LED bulbs in them, all put together for my kind of traveling, my kind of requirements or lighting requirements, that was perfect. That's all I needed, except for one improvement which completed the whole setup. Now, here in Australia, when you travel outback, when you travel overlanding, one of the things you really need to keep an eye out is for animals, especially kangaroos, emus. They come out of nowhere, and that that you have to keep an eye out all the time, especially when it's getting dark. So I needed a lot more spread. So for that reason, the final set of lights that completed the whole driving set of lights is I mounted these two LEDs on the side. So they're completely facing the side. So I've got one on the passenger side and one on the driver's side. And that completed the whole spread. So I get a very good spread of lights now when I drive. So once the light setup was completed, I had to test it out, because up to that point, until all the lights was installed, it was all pretty much in my mind how I wanted it. And I had to make sure it worked. So I took it out to a local forest and I drove through as the sun was coming down and loved the lighting. I really did. It suited my requirements, let's put it that way. And ever since, it's been a year and a half, I've done quite a number of trips since then, outback overlanding, and the lighting has worked very well for me for the kind of traveling I do, and keeping in mind again that I try not to drive at night. So when I did have to drive into the night, they've worked perfectly for me. So I'm pretty happy with it, and that's the kind of lighting setup that I've set up for myself. With you, it could be different. It all depends on what kind of traveling you want to do. But the thought process is always important, I feel. Slapping on a whole lot of lights may not be necessary. It could be just an unnecessary drain on your electrical system. And it may look cool, and we all want our 4x4s to look really cool. That's all right. But at the same time, in my case, everything I do with my 4x4, it has to serve a particular purpose. So that's my thinking. I try to keep it simple but effective and efficient at the same time. So I hope you've enjoyed that video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. Leave a comment behind. I love to see comments coming from you guys. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it.